for me, was the way to go, simply because it gave me a chance to almost practice my first year of teaching. You get to start the school year up, you get to go through a break, you get to come back after a break with a lot of the same students, and it was really a chance to see what it's like to be a teacher.
A year-long internship prepares you for your first teaching position because you've already been in the class for a year. So it's almost like you have the first year of teaching under your belt. For me, when I went out and got a job, I was teaching biology, which is one of the classes I student taught. So when I was preparing for that class, I already had a whole year of material for that class, which saved me a ton of time.
So much to talk about. If you're in a whole year and somebody asks you, what's your greatest strength, what's your greatest weakness, what was your best lesson plan, what was a great decision you made in classroom management, not a great decision you made in classroom management, you just have such a wide expanse of experiences to choose from. So that's probably the biggest pluses I can think to doing a year-long internship.
I was in the classroom 5 days a week, every day, like it was a real job. It really prepared me for what was coming at me as far as the time and the commitment that go into it. It also really allows you to develop a great relationship with your students and to form a relationship with them where you can be comfortable with the students before you go in front of the classroom.
When you get to the point of interviews, which is usually in March for a lot of schools, you've already been in the classroom for a whole semester, so you're going to be more prepared to answer interview questions when you're applying for jobs.
The other advantage of being at a year-long internship is that you have actual experience with students, specific examples of things when you go into job interviews. When I was asked an example of how I would help a student who was a struggling reader, I could give them an exact example of a student from one of my classes, where they were at, what we tried, what worked, what didn't work, and where they were going at the current time. Those specific examples were really attractive to employers because it was something that I had that a lot of other people did not have.
I think the biggest advantage is that you get to see how the classroom is set up. Not only do you get to see how an actual teacher sets up their classroom and their norms in the fall, but you also get to be a part of helping set those norms up in the classroom.
I kind of saw what the beginning of the school year looked like, the middle, and the end. There are obviously lots of special things that happen at different points in the year, and especially in a school. Like, there are routines, and it's so much more comfortable when you become a teacher to have already done that once.
You just get to participate in the culture of a school. So you get to understand the traditions at the school, the expectations of the school, which will vary wherever you go, but it all has significant bearing on how and what you will teach, how you'll communicate, in this environment.
I would say some of the advantages of a year-long internship are you get lots of experience before graduating to go into the teaching profession, as opposed to a traditional 8-week student teaching experience. I get a full year, so when I graduate and become a teacher, I'm basically a second-year teacher looking for a job.
Interning at U-High, the reason why you should do it is because it is the most rewarding experience you will have in a student teaching setting. Being at this school and in the environment that values education, that values academics, that values diversity, really gives you a chance to challenge yourself and to try different teaching methods and learn from the best people around how to do things in the best possible way.
I was interested in coming to University High School because I got the opportunity to coach basketball last year and also work in the classroom a little bit as part of the 216 class that you take at ISU. And I wanted to get more involved with the students in an academic sense, as well as what I was doing athletically, so I wanted to jump right in.
Interning at U-High is a good decision because, first of all, the teachers here are amazing and great to work with. I worked with Steve Evans, who is now the assistant principal, and I felt like I learned more than he could ever realize that he taught me. And then they get you in the class. They've had previous practice working with teachers because they're constantly working with TCH students, so they already have ideas of what you can be doing and how you can actively participate in the learning process with the kids instead of just sitting and observing.
The students here are really awesome and are much more adept at giving feedback about your teaching. So they've seen a million student teachers, so they can say, like, nicely most of the time, "That was really awesome," or "Maybe you should think about it."
What attracted me to do my internship at University High School was a number of factors. Number one, I had an awesome clinical experience there. During one of my coursework, we got to work very closely with teachers, and I developed a really great relationship with my cooperating teacher in that experience. And after reflecting on that awesome time, I thought to myself, you know, a year-long experience getting to do this in this school with these people would be an awesome thing to do.
On top of that, we're a one-to-one environment. So when I interned, that was the first year of the one-to-one environment at U-High. So you also get the experience of infusing things with technology, lessons, and just your daily activities with that technology, which, again, in a lot of schools, you may not get that opportunity.
Because everybody here wants to help pre-service teachers, it's just a totally different dynamic. Like, you're the focus. You're learning, and you getting better and you becoming a successful teacher is just as important as the students getting a good education. So that's a major plus.
I had two wonderful mentors that I got to work with very closely, particularly in the freshman classes that I got to work in. I got to have a lot of influence in the curriculum that year, which was a huge growing point for me. It was very valuable in terms of understanding assessment and objectives, and how I could teach standards kind of regardless of what the curriculum was, that I could shape those tools in my classroom.
Oh, also, they allow you to participate in committees, which is very nice because sometimes as a teacher, we only have this one perspective of teaching, and that's in the classroom. But at U-High, you get to see the different committees that happen and what happens behind the scene to make a school a community.
Take advantage of all the things the administration does. That I don't think that happens at every school, that an administrator takes the time to meet with you on a regular basis, help you interview, answer your questions from an administrator's point of view.
Say the three adjectives to describe this experience are: it's challenging, it's welcoming at the same time, and it's also creative with what I'm able to do.
It's challenging. It was rewarding, and my experience at U-High was motivating.
The three adjectives I would use would be challenging. There was never a day where I walked in thinking, I know exactly what I'm doing. It made me think about who I was as a teacher and how I had to adapt and adjust in order to bring my best game forward. So I would say challenging. I would say fun. I had so much fun. It's such a fun building when you get to know some of the teachers and you get to have that personal relationship. You can kind of joke around here and there. It lets you feel like you're part of a staff as opposed to being that student teacher or that intern. So challenging, fun, and at the end of the day, I would say rewarding. University High School is such a rewarding place. If you put the work in as a teacher, you see the results in your students. And so I would say that University High School is challenging, it's fun, and it's rewarding.
Three adjectives to describe my U-High intern experience would be challenging, fun, and beneficial, I think.
Three adjectives that describe my U-High experience would be prepared, because it completely prepared me for teaching. A valuable experience, because I had all of these previous experiences with students that I could draw upon for when I was in the classroom on my own. And then realistic. It prepares you, or it is a realistic way to see what the teaching world is like. You're not just getting a short semester where you teach 8 weeks, you're getting a full year.
Challenging, fun, nerve-wracking. Challenging, fun, and nerve-wracking.
Very rewarding, very challenging, and overall just wonderful. I was working with wonderful people.
Also, it's just another year of experience before you're actually doing it. So another year of lesson planning, another year of figuring out how to manage a classroom, and every little bit counts.
My advice for future interns is if you are considering being an intern or not being an intern, do it. It was the best decision that I ever made in my teaching career at ISU.